Thank you, Phil. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Lisbeth JACOBS. Lisbeth is General Manager of International Uni Service at the University of Auckland. And before joining Uni Services, Lisbon spent 18 months at the Ice House as Director Strategy. Prior to that, she spent nearly 14 years with Bekaert, I think it is, a global market leader in steel wire and steel cord products, headquartered, as every woman would, headquartered in Belgium, employing 27,000 people worldwide and serving customers in 120 different countries. In 2013, Lisbeth was appointed to the board of Wellington Drive Technologies and also appointed the Honorary Consul of Belgium. Thank you, Lisbeth.
Thank you for that introduction. So it's a great pleasure to be here this afternoon. I would like to talk to you a little bit about a very practical example of how we make that work, that collaboration with China. So we have been collaborating with China for some years, for many years actually, and more recently we've intensified that collaboration. So I've put together a few slides with a few pictures that will hopefully keep you all engaged, because I'm aware I'm standing between you and afternoon tea. So let's delve into that. So Auckland Uni Services, for those of you who don't know us, we are a commercial company. We're an independent commercial company. Our shareholder is the University of Auckland, but we are a commercial entity. We need to make money. We are also a charitable trust, which means that all the money we do make gets reinvested into the University of Auckland and supports research and a number of activities that, that help the University of Auckland keep its leading position in New Zealand and in the world for that matter. So we hold the monopoly on all the intellectual property that is created and generated by the bright minds of the University of Auckland. And what we do with that is we try to help that develop into practical live applications. So we try to translate these great ideas into applications, into products, into things that make a difference in people's lives. You see some numbers here. I'm not going to use too much of the time to go into Uni Services. I would like to jump to what we're doing in China, so I'm going to leave that for now. 8 minutes is a very short time. So let's jump into what drove us into establishing our own entity in China, which is what we've done this year. So what we saw is that if we want to grow, if we want to get more funding through to the University of Auckland that allows our researchers to do more innovative stuff, to have more startups created, we really needed to go international. And international immediately means China, because China is very large and growing. Everybody knows that. It's very close to us. It's only one flight away. I know it's a long flight away, but it's actually the closest you can get to, if we forget about Australia for a minute. It's increasingly transparent. So I've lived and worked in China for Bekaert, the steel cord company, so I know how China works a little bit. I've got good friends in China, and I really was attracted to the prospect of being able to transfer some of that knowledge that we create here in New Zealand also to China. And I think it's increasingly opening up to the West. I think we see that also through this initiative that we're talking about, the One Belt, One Road initiative. And I think we wanted to capitalize on that by setting up our own institute in China. So this is the city we chose on the bottom right-hand corner, for those of you who know where that is. That's Hangzhou. So we've set up our institute in Hangzhou. There's a number of reasons why we did that, which I'll go into in a minute. So we set up a wholly foreign-owned enterprise, a wholly foreign-owned, a WUFI, as we call it. So we can hire staff, we can contract in China under Chinese law. And it is really our intention to have this institute, so it's the whole building that we occupy, 4 floors, to have that institute be the cornerstone for the University of Auckland, for uni services in China, but also by extension to the wider innovation and commercialization ecosystem in New Zealand. So Hangzhou, for the non-Chinese people in the room who might not know where Hangzhou is, it's very close to Shanghai. It is home to Zhejiang University, our close partner. It's top university in China. We're very happy to be working together with them. And it is also a very vibrant and economic innovation hub. So it's home to Alibaba, home to Geely. There's a lot of R&D centers there of large multinationals. And it is still very central. So we looked at a lot of different cities. There were a lot of opportunities for us to go elsewhere, and there's a lot of beautiful cities we could have gone to. But I think because it's so central, we eventually settled on Hangzhou. And we might maybe one day from Hangzhou expand into other regions in China. So what we want to focus on with our institute is really develop those strong relationships. We deepen the strong relationships we have already with our Chinese collaborators. And that's not just institutes and universities, but also our Chinese, the companies that we work with, and the international clients that we work with that have operations in China. So we want, through that pathway, we want to offer more opportunities for our researchers to do work in China with their Chinese partners. We already undertake projects in China, large-scale projects, and we want to do more of them. In order to do that, we really needed to have our own WUFI because we need to hire more staff on the ground. And that's the only way in which we could do that. And also, by extension, we would like to offer that safe pathway into China for startup companies that would like to venture into China but don't quite know how to do that. So they can do that through our institute, and we can help them and guide them and set them on the way. So a few pictures here. So that's the institute. On the top right-hand corner, you can see the Sky Tower. That's a big picture in the entrance area of our institute. We have some open office plant space. That's collaboration space available. We have a showroom where we showcase some of the inventions that the University of Auckland has brought to market. We've got meeting rooms. We've got a nice kitchen area with a picture of Takapuna Beach in the background for those of you who might recognize it. And then we've got also a seminar room and conference facilities available. We opened the Institute officially on the 18th of May. This year, and you can see the then Minister Paul Goldsmith was there to open it. We were very pleased to have him with us, and also the Ambassador of New Zealand to China, the Honourable John McKinnon, was there. We were very grateful to have him there as well. So what will we do? We're in the middle of setting up 5 research platforms, and the idea of these research platforms is to allow us to work closer together with Chinese universities, Chinese companies, and also the international companies that are present in China. We will tap into the 1,000 Talents program. We will develop joint IP between New Zealand and Chinese institutions. We will spin out companies and set them up immediately in China rather than setting them up in New Zealand and then transporting them to the world. We'll do that immediately into China. And that brings me to the next point. So we are an incubator for startup companies. And we can provide all sorts of support to these New Zealand startup companies there. But we will also undertake large projects in China. I'm not going to go into that. My slides are available for people who may want them later on. So these are the platforms, so a health platform, drug discovery, drug development, food for health, nutrition platform, 2 platforms in manufacturing and advanced materials, research. I just wanted to also briefly mention the large projects that we undertake. So at the moment, we're undertaking a large clinical study together with Chongqing Medical University. 1,500 pregnant women have been recruited who are taking a drink that is enhanced. It's a Fonterra product, as you can see there on the bottom, which is enhanced with a number of lipids and additives. And we then follow the mothers, but also the children, to see what the result is of that on there. So it should be enhancing their cognitive abilities and their body composition, etc. So we are able to undertake large projects in China, and we want to do more of those. I would like to take this opportunity to also mention that we're organizing a conference in our new institute in Hangzhou between the 12th and the 14th of December. I know it's probably a little bit short for you to still organize flights, but the ones who are in China at that time, I would like to welcome you to join us for that conference. We will be focusing on commercialization, we are focusing on innovation, and we'll have a real select group of professors from here that we're flying up. We also have a number of professors from Zhejiang University that are contributing. We're bringing in startup companies that will be pitching to Chinese investors, Chinese angel investors, VC funds, because it is our intention that these startup companies will set up in our institute if they are successful in achieving that funding. So please put that on your agenda. If you are in China, we would love to welcome you there. And that's it. Thank you.